Focus on the effort you're putting in rather than the outcome for long-lasting results. Hey team, and welcome to this week's episode of The Inspired Show, the show that is dedicated to helping you become the best version of yourself, mentally as well as physically. Before we go into today's topic, if you've not done so already, please hit that subscribe button. It just means you get updated with every single episode we post every single week. And if you find this episode helpful, please hit the like button. And don't forget to give me any feedback in the comments, or if you've got any questions around this topic, any questions around your goals, or if you'd like to cover anything in any future episodes, I'd love to know down below. And don't forget as well, in the captions, there is access to all our social media pages where we post content every single day to help you become that best version of yourself, plus access to our free community as well. In this week's episode, we're speaking about focus on efforts rather than outcomes and why this is so important. How many times have you had a really good week where you've eaten really well, you've moved really well, you've hydrated, you've ticked all the boxes, and then you get on those scales and nothing's really changed? If it has changed, it's only a small amount, but sometimes it's even worse, it's actually gone up. Now that's a very frustrating place to be in. And a lot of the time, if we're focusing on the outcome, i.e. the scale weight, that can lead to detrimental success. What do I mean by that? Well, when we've had a really good week on the surface level of things, and we've not seen any results from the scales, we can get into the mind of thinking, well, what's the point? I've done everything right this week and I've not lost any weight, or I've only lost a little bit of weight, or I've gained weight. I'm putting all this effort and it's not yielding any results. I might as well just eat loads of crap, not do any movement, because I'm not making any changes anyway. Have you ever felt like that? This is something that I used to really struggle with quite a bit. It's because I was fixated on the outcome. When we're fixated on the outcome, it can lead us to failure. It can set us up to fail. It can set us up for that self-sabotage. So what we actually need to do is shift our mindset from the outcome, i.e. the scale weight, to the efforts we're actually putting in. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, we can't really control the outcome of everything, especially when it comes to weight loss. With regards to weight loss, there's so many factors that can affect the weight going up or down that are out of our control. Things like your hormones, time of the month, bowel movements, digestion, hydration levels, stress levels. All these things can have a massive impact on your weight. And it can cause your weight to fluctuate quite a bit on a day-by-day basis, which means you can have an absolutely amazing week of hitting all your targets, but you may step on those scales and it might just be a heavy day due to what's going on inside your body. And ultimately, you have very little control over that. So if we're putting all our focus on the outcome, again, we can set ourselves up for failure. So what we actually need to start doing is focusing on the efforts that we can control. So we can control our nourishment. We can control how much food we consume. We can control how much movement we do. We can choose how to react to certain stressful situations. We can choose if we're going to work out or not. So what I want you to start doing, instead of focusing on the outcome, actually start focusing on the efforts we're putting in. And what we want to be doing is, when we're focusing on the efforts we're putting in, is not just doing them, but celebrating them. So if you stay within your calories for the day, celebrate that. Acknowledge it. If you ate your 3 to 5 pieces of fruit and veg a day, celebrate it, acknowledge it. If you hit your step target, acknowledge it. And what you're doing is, when you're acknowledging and celebrating these little efforts on your journey, is you're building up a resilience into doing these habits on a day-by-day basis, which means you're more likely to stick at them because you're showing yourself perseverance and you're reaffirming the positivity around that. And ultimately, we're a byproduct of our daily habits and rituals. And what we're also doing is, as we're celebrating and acknowledging these little wins, these micro wins throughout the day, is we're actually building our confidence step by step, because we're doing the things we said we were going to do and we're praising ourselves for that. And what this also does, it allows us to adopt a growth mindset. And a growth mindset is super, super important into helping us become that best version of ourselves. Because if we're in a fixed mindset, then there's no room to improve, there's no room to grow. Because a lot of people are stuck in a fixed mindset when it comes to losing weight. They're fixated on the outcome, they're fixated on doing a diet, they're fixated on short-term success. But when you adopt a growth mindset, i.e. focus on the efforts you're putting on a day-by-day basis, celebrating the nourishment of your body, celebrating the movements you're doing on a day-by-day basis, celebrating how you're handling stressful situations, you're growing, you're adapting, and you're becoming more resilient, you're becoming more mindful, and you're well on your way to building these habits and rituals. And even though we might not get the outcome we want every single week, we're not really focused on that because we know the efforts we're putting in make a much bigger difference in the overall picture of our journey. And as a byproduct of building in habits and rituals on a week-by-week basis, on a month-by-month basis, your body has got no option but to adapt and change to that. Therefore, you will lose weight in the long run. But most importantly, not only will you lose weight, you will keep it off as well because we're building these habits for long-term success. When we focus on effort-based habits and celebrating these rather than outcome-based results, what we can also do is we can also see what's working and what's not working. Because we all know diets and quick fixes do not work in the long term, whilst they might work in the short term. But when it comes to building habits, it's about building the habits that we feel we can maintain long term. Like initially, you might set a habit that's a little bit too unattainable long term. And then after reflecting and reviewing it, you can bring it down to your level. And again, it's all about finding what's sustainable for you because there's no point in just losing the weight. You want to be keeping the weight off as well. So what I'd love you guys to do this week is take your emphasis off the scale weight, take your emphasis off the outcome, but actually start focusing on the daily effort you're putting in. And I want you to really celebrate that because when you celebrate that, you start becoming more resilient, you build up your confidence, and you become that best version of yourself. And I guarantee you, you'll start enjoying your journey a lot more. You're becoming more motivated on a day-by-day basis because you're hitting these mini targets every single day, and you'll be well on your way to become that best version of yourself. I hope you found today's episode helpful. If you did, please let me know in the comments, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay updated with all our latest episodes.